researcher Roland Fisher ran a series of experiments. He gave graduate students controlled doses of psilocybin, then he tested their vision. Small doses improved visual acuity by 200%. Students could detect finer details, see contrasts better, track movement more accurately. Now think about what this means for early humans. Better vision means better hunting. Better hunting means more food. More food meant bigger brains. But McKenna's theory went deeper. He proposed 3 levels of mushroom consumption. Low doses enhanced vision and made people more alert, perfect for tracking prey across the savannah. Medium doses dissolved social boundaries that led to conflict. Groups became more cohesive. People shared more, bonded more. More bonding means more children. High doses of psychedelic mushrooms produced an entirely different and intense experience. The ego dissolved. New thought patterns emerged. Abstract thinking and understanding symbolism became innate, natural. Language became music, and music became language. And consciousness, whatever that is, expands. McKenna didn't think these were just side effects. He thought they were part of a bigger plan. And here's the thing about human brain evolution that fathered McKenna. 2 million years ago, our ancestors had brains around 900 cubic centimeters. Within 100,000 years, that jumped to 1,600 cubic centimeters.
Where you got that? You got that?
That kind of growth usually takes millions of years, not thousands. Fire helped. Tools helped. Eating meat helped. But the timeline didn't match. These developments came after brain expansion, not before. McKenna had one simple explanation. Our ancestors followed herds of game across Africa. Those herds left dung everywhere. And growing in that dung were psilocybin cubensis mushrooms. The same mushrooms Fisher studied at Harvard. Early humans were hungry. They ate everything they could find. They ate not just the animals they hunted, but the mushrooms left behind from the herd. The scientific establishment hated McKenna's theory. They called it the stoned ape hypothesis. The name was meant to mock it, but McKenna embraced it. He believed psilocybin didn't just change the mind, it helped form the human experience. Scientists thought McKenna was crazy, but 30 years later, they gave people psilocybin and scanned their brains. Terence McKenna wasn't crazy at all. He was dead right. McKenna was right about one thing. Psilocybin changed the brain, but not the way anyone expected. When neuroscientists finally put volunteers in MRI machines and gave them psilocybin, they thought brain activity would explode. More neural firing, more energy, more chaos. Instead, they saw the opposite. The brain got quieter. Specifically, one part went all silent. The default mode network. The default mode network is your brain's control center. It's the voice in your head. The thing that says, I, when you think about yourself. It creates your ego, the boundary between you and everything else, your sense of self. On psilocybin, that shuts down. Not partially, not temporarily, the entire network goes offline. And when it does, something extraordinary happens. Brain regions that never talk to each other suddenly connect. The visual cortex starts communicating with areas that process emotion. Memory centers link up with parts that control body awareness. It's like every neighborhood in a city suddenly building roads to every other neighborhood. Robin Carhart Harris at Imperial College London discovered this in 2012. He called it neural anarchy. But it wasn't anarchy, it wasn't chaotic, it was reorganization. The connections formed during these psychedelic experiences don't just disappear when the drug wears off. Brain scans show new neural pathways remaining active for weeks, sometimes months. In some cases, the changes appear permanent. Johns Hopkins researchers found something even stranger. People who took psilocybin in controlled settings showed lasting personality changes. Not mood changes, personality changes. They became more open, more creative, more connected to others. This shouldn't be possible. Personality is supposed to be fixed by age 30, but psilocybin rewrote that rule. And here's what really puzzled scientists. Psilocin, what psilocybin becomes in your body, fits into human serotonin receptors perfectly. Not approximately, perfectly, like a key designed for a specific lock. We share about 50% of our DNA with mushrooms. We split from a common ancestor over 1 billion years ago, yet somehow these fungi produce a compound that seems tailor-made for the human brain. Paul Stamets, the world's leading mushroom expert, thinks this isn't a coincidence. He believes humans and mushrooms have been evolving together, what he calls co-evolution. Brain scans prove psilocybin creates new neural connections. They prove it dissolves old patterns. They prove it fundamentally changes how we think. But ancient civilizations didn't need MRI machines to know this. They'd been using mushrooms for thousands of years. They saw them as technology, sacred technology, a way to communicate with other realms, a way to speak with our ancestors. They saw mushrooms as a way to speak to God. For 2,000 years, it was Greece's most sacred secret, the Eleusinian Mysteries. Every September, thousands of Greeks made a pilgrimage to Eleusis. Peasants and emperors, philosophers and warriors, they all came for one thing.
Dang it.
To drink the kykeon and see the truth. Plato went, Aristotle went, so did Sophocles. Cicero drank the kykeon, so did Commodus, Hadrian and Marcus Aurelius. They never wrote about what they saw, not specifically, but they all said the same thing. The experience changed them forever. It revealed the secret of death and showed them their place in the cosmos. For centuries, nobody knew what was in the kykeon, or kykeon. Then in 1978, researchers cracked the code. The drink contained ergot, a fungus that grows on grain, specifically rye. Ergot contains lysergic acid amide, another psychedelic. Natural LSD. The Greeks weren't alone. The Aztecs had a word for mushrooms. Teonanacatl. It means flesh of the gods. They used psilocybin and sakana in religious ceremonies. Spanish conquistadors witnessed these rituals in the 1500s, and what they saw terrified them. Indigenous people eating mushrooms and speaking directly to their gods. No priests, no intermediaries, just direct divine contact. The Spanish destroyed every mushroom temple they found, burned every codex that mentioned them, made mushroom use punishable by death. But they couldn't destroy everything. The Mazatec people of Oaxaca kept the mushroom ceremonies alive, hidden in mountain caves, passed down through generations of healers. For 400 years they protected this knowledge. And this wasn't just the Americas. Vedic texts from ancient India described soma, a divine plant that granted immortality and wisdom. Scholars debated what soma was for decades. Then R. Gordon Wasson made a connection. The descriptions matched Amanita muscaria, the red and white mushrooms that are in all fairy tales. Siberian shamans used the same mushroom. They fed it to reindeer, then drank the reindeer's urine. The reindeer's body filtered out the toxins, but kept the psychoactive compounds. Shamans could fly across the sky and visit other worlds, all powered by reindeer pee. Even the Bible might contain mushroom references. Moses met God at a burning bush. The bush was probably acacia. Acacia contains DMT. When burned and inhaled, DMT produces visions that last about 15 minutes, exactly how long Moses spoke with God. The manna that fed the Israelites in the desert, it appeared overnight. It had to be collected before sunrise. It gave people visions. This is how mushrooms operate. John Marco Allegro was a Dead Sea Scrolls scholar. He proposed that early Christianity was a mushroom cult, that the Last Supper wasn't bread and wine, it was mushrooms. The body and blood of Christ were actually the cap and stem of Amanita muscaria. The Vatican destroyed Allegro's career for that theory. Every civilization throughout history knew the power of mushrooms, and every authority that rose to power tried to destroy that secret knowledge. They almost succeeded. But in 1957, Life magazine published an article that reached 6 million Americans. The headline read, "Seeking the Magic Mushroom," and now the secret was out. R. Gordon Wasson was a banker, vice president at J.P. Morgan. Not the kind of person you'd expect to resurrect ancient mushroom knowledge. But in 1955, Wasson and his wife Valentina traveled to Oaxaca, Mexico. They heard rumors about mushroom ceremonies, sacred rituals that survived the Spanish conquest. They found Maria Sabina. She was a Mazatec healer, a curandera. For generations, her family had protected the mushroom's traditions. She rarely allowed outsiders into the ceremonies, But something about the Wassons made her break that rule. On June 29, 1955, Wasson became the first known white person to participate in a mushroom ceremony. Maria Sabina served them psilocybin mexicana on a leaf. She chanted in Mazatec. The room was filled with incense. Then the visions began. Wasson saw geometric patterns, palaces made of light. He felt his soul leave his body. He understood for the first time what the word ecstasy actually meant. Not happiness, but stepping outside yourself, seeing reality from a perspective that normal consciousness just doesn't allow. The experience lasted 6 hours, but it changed Wasson forever. 2 years later, Life magazine published his account, Seeking the Magic Mushroom. It hit newsstands on May 13, 1957. 6 million Americans read about mushrooms that could expand consciousness, show them God, reveal secrets about life, the universe, and their place in it. The psychedelic revolution had begun. Timothy Leary read that article, so did Richard Alpert. They started the Harvard Psilocybin Project in 1960. They gave mushrooms to graduate students, prisoners, divinity students, and everyone reported profound experiences, life-changing revelations. Then came the Good Friday experiment. On April 20th, 1962, 20 divinity students gathered in Boston University's Marsh Chapel. Half received psilocybin, half got placebos. The results were undeniable. 9 of 10 students who took psilocybin reported mystical experiences. They felt unity with all existence, direct contact with the divine. Time dissolved. The boundaries between self and universe disappeared. 25 years later, researchers tracked down those students. They still ranked that Good Friday as one of the most spiritually significant experiences of their lives. But the establishment panicked. By 1968, psilocybin was illegal. Research stopped. The mushroom renaissance seemed over. It wasn't. Underground therapists kept using psilocybin. They treated depression, addiction, PTSD. They just couldn't publish their results. Then in 2006, Johns Hopkins published the first legal psilocybin study in 40 years. The results shocked the medical establishment. A single dose of psilocybin created lasting positive personality changes. People became more open, more creative, more connected. By 2018, the FDA designated psilocybin as a breakthrough therapy for depression. Studies showed 70% remission rates. Compare that to 30% for standard antidepressants, which come with all kinds of side effects. Terminal cancer patients lost their fear of death after 1 session. Addiction rates plummeted. PTSD symptoms vanished. The mushrooms that transformed consciousness 100,000 years ago were transforming it again. The Stolen Ape theory captivated millions of people. It offered a simple answer to humanity's biggest mystery. Magic mushrooms made us human. But there's a problem, a big one. Evolution doesn't work that way. Here's what we know is true. Psilocybin mushrooms enhance vision. Rowan Fisher proved that at Harvard. They increase social bonding. They dissolve ego boundaries. They create new neural pathways. Modern brain scans confirm all of this. We also know early humans encountered these mushrooms. Psilocybin cubensis grows in cattle dung all across Africa. Our ancestors followed those herds. They were hungry. They would have eaten these mushrooms. McKenna got all that right. But here's where the theory gets shaky. Any changes psilocybin caused in an individual's brain could be passed to their children. That's Lamarckian evolution. It was disproven 100 years ago. If you take steroids and build huge muscles, your kids aren't born muscular. If you learn French, your children don't speak it automatically. And if mushrooms expand your consciousness, that expansion doesn't transfer to your offspring. Genetics doesn't work that way. It never has. There's another problem. McKenna claimed Fisher's research supported this evolutionary theory, but Fisher never said that. He studied perception, not evolution. McKenna took the data and ran with it in a direction Fisher never intended. And then there's the evidence that it should exist, but doesn't. If psychedelics drove human evolution, this is the most advanced cognition in cultures that use them extensively. The Aztecs used mushrooms for centuries. So did Amazonian tribes. The Mazatec people never stopped using them. These cultures created art, mythology, and complex spiritual systems. But they didn't develop advanced technology or scientific thinking faster than cultures without psychedelics. So McKenna was wrong. But he might have been wrong in an interesting way. Some researchers propose a different model, not genetic evolution, but cultural evolution. Mushrooms didn't change our DNA, they changed our software, not our hardware. And think about it, every culture that used psychedelics developed music, art, and religion. They created rituals and mythologies. They built complex social structures around shared experiences. Maybe that's what mushrooms gave us, not bigger brains, bigger hearts, bigger ideas. The new Stone Age theory focuses on consciousness as an emergent property. Psychedelics didn't evolve the brain, they revealed what the brain could already do, like finding a hidden feature in software you've used for years. This fits better with the evidence. It explains why mushrooms create long-lasting personality changes, why they increase creativity and openness, and why every culture that found them considered them sacred. Paul Stamets takes it further. He says we're still co-evolving with mushrooms, not genetically but culturally. As we rediscover psychedelics, they're reshaping society again. Mental health treatment, creativity enhancement, spiritual exploration. The mushroom renaissance isn't just about medicine, it's about consciousness itself. McKenna asked the wrong question. It wasn't, how did mushrooms create human consciousness? The real question is, what is consciousness, and why do mushrooms affect it so profoundly? We don't know. After decades of research, consciousness remains the hard problem. We can map every neuron, scan every synapse, and still not understand how flesh becomes thought. But we know this. Something in mushrooms speaks directly to something in us. After a billion years of separate evolution, that connection to consciousness remains. Consciousness, if you think about it, is lonely. We're the only species that knows it even exists, that knows it will end. Maybe that's why every culture that found mushrooms called them sacred. Not because they made us human, but because they made us feel less alone, connected to something else, connected to something bigger, connected to everyone. The Stone Age theory may be wrong, but it made us think differently. It made us reevaluate consciousness and how it arises, how it emerges. It made us think about our connections to each other and about connections to a greater universe, a universe full of energy and thought and kindness and love. So right or wrong, the Stone Age theory is important. And believe it or not, it changed everything.
What God is it you believe in? How you talk about sort of substrate idea and such, but in a simple way that I can understand. Do you believe in a man in the sky God? Do you believe in it's a
that's not as primitive a conceptualization as the atheists would have you believe.
What is it you believe?
Well, there isn't anything more complex in the known universe than a human brain. So if you want a model for reality as such, like proclaiming that it has something akin to the structure of the human psyche is not an absurd claim, given that that is the most complex thing by far that we know of. By far.
But I mean,
I did say, I mentioned something which we skipped over very quickly because I introduced it too rapidly. Postmodernists figured out that we live in a story. But then they leapt to a faulty conclusion of two forms, well, three. There's no uniting story. That was one of the conclusions. In fact, the definition of postmodernism is skepticism of meta-narratives. There's no uniting story. It's like, well, that's a stupid theory because there's no union. So what? There's just diversity. Well, we worship diversity now in an utterly foolish manner. There's no difference between diversity and war. Without a uniting narrative, there's nothing but war. So, no, that's not going to work. Wrong. Hedonistic self-gratification. There's Michel Foucault for you, to a T. It's like, why is that wrong? Why can't people just do what they want with whoever they want all the time? Because it defeats itself, and quickly. It's not a sustainable game. If it's all about you and your whims, I don't want to be anywhere near you. And that won't be so good for you. That's not going to work. Power That's really where the postmodernists landed with their, well, you say, temptation to turn towards Marx. It's all about power. It's like, first of all, that's probably a confession. That's what you believe. And second, no, it's not. Try tyrannizing your wife and see how well that works for you. Try tyrannizing yourself and see how successful you are. Power's not the game. Okay, what's the game? What's the story? I mentioned earlier. It's voluntary self-sacrifice. Right, offer yourself up in the service of something higher. That's the basis of society. That's the basis of psychological stability. The Christian insistence is that that's the basis of the world.
I'm going to ask you again because I want to be clear. What is the God you believe in?
I think that the claim that Christ is the embodiment of the prophet and the laws, I think that's true.
Okay.
That's complicated. It's very, very complicated. But I think it's true.
Do you believe that Jesus was
God?
God.
Yeah. I think if you understand what that means, that it's indisputable. I'll give you a brief explanation of why. Christ takes the sins of the world onto himself. That means all the problems that there are his problems. Right. Okay, so the idea there is that there's no difference between making that assumption and then actually beginning to address those problems. And there's no difference between that which best addresses the problems of mankind and the divine. Those are the same thing. And I can't see how that can be otherwise, because the contrary hypothesis would be that you would adapt best to your life by avoiding things that are difficult and terrible. And no one believes that. And so the pattern of the passion, this is the voluntary self-sacrifice issue taken to its extreme. The pattern of the passion is the decision to voluntarily confront and welcome anything that happens to you, no matter what it is. And that's a terrible thing to ask or endeavor to undertake, but well, the alternative is to shrink away. Well, the spirit of shrinking away is the divine. It's like, I don't think so. That's preposterous. The spirit of unlimited courage? Well, that's not a bad start for a definition of what constitutes the divine. The highest possible value.
Has your belief in God, religion, been shaken at all?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Because you've been, over the last year and a half, 2 years, you've been through a particularly difficult time with losing people in your life that are sort of foundational to you. Tammy as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was in extreme pain for 3 years. Right. I went through 3 years where every minute of my life was worse than any minute I had ever had previous to that. It was terrible. And did I lose faith? Was it questioned, challenged? Absolutely. Absolutely. It just became absurd. It was absurd. So many things had gone off the rails. My wife was dying, my daughter was ill. Things had blown up around me in 50 different ways, and I was seriously in pain. It was terrible. I was walking like 12 miles a day because I couldn't sit. I did that for months. Winter, rain, whenever. I had a friend who walked me. It was terrible. And yeah, I thought, what was the desperation? It wasn't even the pain, it was the fact that I was in such terrible shape that I felt that I was, well, I believed that I was a burden to everyone around me, and it was only likely to get worse. And I thought, what's the sense in this? What's the possible significance of this? So yes, everyone's faith is challenged in Christ himself. Cries in despair out to God on the cross. The story is believable. Like, if you're going to live, you're going to push past your limit. Right? You're going to live. So, but who knows what you discover when you push past your limit?
In that moment, you know, I've been in my relationship for some time. I genuinely think I'd rather die myself than my partner die. And you were there as Tammy was struggling with her health.
Yes.
Which is not something I've heard you actually talk about before. I've observed. She was dying. Is that harder to take for you than your own pain and struggle?
I think generally, if you love someone, it's worse to see them suffering than suffer yourself. You certainly think about it when you have kids.
And this all happens at the same moment, the same couple of years of your life. Is there anything to, you know, people always search for silver linings and things. Is there anything?
We're both alive. My family's thriving. My adventure is expanding.
Life isn't fair, is it? Doesn't appear to be very fair. Because, I mean, this is how your story ended in that regard. But
Is it? I don't know if an adventure is fair. I don't even know if that's what we want. Like, this is something I really came to understand more deeply when writing this book. What are we built for? We're built for maximal challenge. And that isn't the way we view ourselves anymore. We view ourselves as built for pleasure, you know, pornography. We view ourselves as built for consumption, or for safety, or for maybe for egotistical self-aggrandizement and fame. Those are, look, all of those things are better than their absence, let's say. You know, I think part of the reason that Andrew Tate is so popular among young men, because it's better to be a successful reprobate than a useless scrounger. Seriously. I mean, seriously. But that's why the villain in stories is often admirable compared to the coward. Right? At least the villain is out there, like, doing villain things. You know? But
at least he has meaning.
well, he's not.
The villain, at least the villain has meaning.
The villain's on a quest of sorts.
Yeah.
You know, a committed villain can learn. That's another thing too. What are we built for? I think we're built for maximum challenge, and that's way more interesting. I mean, one of the things that I figured out that that totalitarian states were consequences of lies in about 1985. I really figured it out. I'd been reading Socialism and Communism. I was reading a lot. I was really obsessed by it. I thought, oh, I see. So hell is the dominion of the lie. Okay, so what do you do about it? Well, you stop lying. That's how you fight it. And that means you do that in your own life. Stop. Just practice stopping. Practice not doing the things you know you shouldn't do. Practice paying attention to your words to see if they're landing solid and they make you confident instead of weak. Right? You abandon your short-term desire for control and power, understanding that there isn't anything better that can happen to you than what happens if you tell the truth. No matter what it looks like to you in the moment. It's a strange thing, but I can't see how it could be otherwise, because you have to hypothesize that you're going to align yourself with life, with nature, with society, with God, with yourself, by lying. No one believes that. You might think you can get away with it. That's way different. But no one believes that. So then what happens? Consequences. Well, I think what happens in consequence of that is what happened to Abraham. Your life just goes like this. It just opens and opens and opens. And I don't think there's any limit to it. And that's ridiculously entertaining. Like, unbearably entertaining. There's what you want in your life. You want it to be unbearably entertaining. And it's funny, you know, when you watch people go to movies. I mean, James Bond has an unbearably entertaining life. And that's what people want to see when they go to the theater, because that's what they want. That's what they want. And maybe all the sorrow has to be part of that, has to be part of it, because otherwise there's nothing about it that's glorious.
Why does that mean so much?
Because life is very wide. You know, there's the peaks and valleys are very distant from one another. And I don't know, maybe as you ascend uphill, your understanding of the chasm between the peaks and valleys also increases. You know, because you think maybe as you're successful, you're happier. Well, first of all, I'm not sure that success and happiness are the same. I'm not sure that we want them to be the same. I don't even know what people mean when they say they want to be happy. If you investigate it, technically, you find out that really what people mean when they say they want to be happy is that they don't want to suffer. That's different than the enthusiastic joy that you might think about, you know, that's part and parcel of a child's laughter. You want to be happy. When you want to be laughing all the time, is that what you're saying? Well, no, that's not what I mean. Well, what do you mean? You mean the gratification that comes along with the cookie at 1 in the morning? No, that's not what I mean. Well, okay, what do you mean? Well, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Partly what you mean is you don't want pointless suffering. Fair enough, you know, fair enough. But that doesn't mean it's happiness that's your goal. I don't think that's your goal. I don't think your podcast would be successful if that was your goal. I think you would have washed up on the shores of triviality long ago. I do. Yeah, well, there's something you're doing that's working. There's something about the way you're approaching the situation that's of broad appeal. There's some archetypal pattern that's you're acting out in your conduct in your podcast. Because otherwise it wouldn't have the effect it has.
It's true. I agree. I don't know what it is, but it's...
Well, you know some of it. We talked about some of it. You know, you said that you can apprehend the outline of some of the principles. Some of that you probably discovered as you went along, rather than putting them in place to begin with. This seems to work.
Yeah.
You know? So that's a discovery of a pathway.
Well, as a podcast as well, I don't think you really truly understand the principles until they're tested. So, and especially when they're tested from both sides. So, this side's telling you to be more like this, and this side's screaming you to be more like this, and you were faced with a decision. When when I started this podcast, there was no one screaming, there was no one there.
Right.
But at some point in the journey, you get immense pressure.
Yeah. Well, then you're also
forces a decision out of you.
Yeah, well, you're also in a situation then when you have to start worrying about your reputation, which is something you don't have to worry about when no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous to worry about your reputation. As soon as you start worrying about your reputation as a podcaster, you're going to fail. Because you're not interested in it. You'll stop taking risks. So then, another question where you've got people yelling at you from this side and this side. Well, how do you know what's right? Well, it isn't. Partly it's by listening because you want to pay attention to your audience, but there's something guiding you if you do what you're doing properly that has nothing to do with the clamor.
Yeah. It's funny because actually it links back to some of the principles we talked about today. It's one of the things I've learned is having a good relationship, like good friendships and a good relationship with my wife is actually the foundation for me to be able to navigate the people screaming at me from both sides.
Yeah, why?
Because it just anchors me in. It's like an anchor of like knowing who I actually am, irrespective of the crowd telling you who you are.
Yeah, well, that's a very good illustration of distributed identity. Yeah, it's like you are your wife and friends. There's no, fundamentally, there cannot be any separation. That's, well, you said you've experienced that. Like, that's what gives you, that's part of what gives you a foundation. Like, that's not a loser.
And it's nice because, as you said, when I go out into the world, everyone's very nice to me. It's just if you spend time on the internet, people scream at you from both sides. They say, do it more like this, do it like this. Where are the CEOs? Just as we are the CEO. We want more of these kind of guys. We should talk about this politics, Trump, Trump. And in the middle of that, you go, fucking hell. And that's where you have to take some time to really like tune into yourself and go, who am I and why am I doing this? And what are my principles? And irrespective of the principles I choose, or I believe in, there's going to be suffering and there's going to be sacrifice and there's going to be great adventure as well. And one thing I really like, helps me for some of our reason, is the knowledge that I will die someday.
Why does that help?
It's a good question. Why does it help? It helps because I think it's focusing me on what actually matters. In a way that it wouldn't be as easy to otherwise. What it's saying is, it's just a reminder, okay, if I'm going to die someday, then actually this person screaming at me to be more like this, it obviously doesn't matter. Like, it obviously doesn't matter in the context of my priorities.
Well, it might be that death is what makes things matter.
Scarcity always makes the value.
Well, right, but then we're talking about kind of ultimate scarcity. Like, you can ask yourself, one of the fundamental questions you can ask yourself is, what is the nature of the real? And I think death makes things real.
I agree. That's why it's an important, I don't know, it seems like a weird thing to say, but it reminds me that what's trivial and what's not, in the context of a finite amount of resources, time, attention, that I can commit. It's foolish to commit some of them to some of the things that I find myself committing them to sometimes when I remind myself of that day.
How do you pick your guests?
Curiosity.
I pick people I talk to. I'd like to hear what that person has to say.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm trying to learn. So it's typically, when I'd seen you wrote a book called We Wrestle with God.
That's what
I was like,
Israel. That's what Israel means.
I thought, well,
the chosen people of God.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I thought this is a subject that I'm curious about. So I would like to talk to Jordan to see if he can help me fill in this sort of jigsaw puzzle in my brain of subject matters that relate to this. And I'm involved, I'm probably going to have kids soon. When I have my kids, I'm going to be curious about parenthood and I'm going to speak to guests that can help me with that. That's been my framework. And it's worked in terms of, I still like doing this.
Well, there's no reason. So when I'm on stage lecturing, I'm on a journey. It's a real journey. It's not an act. Like, I pose a question to myself before I go on stage. It's a question I want the answer to, and I don't have. And I go on stage and I try to move towards the answer. And people come along, and I want to go there, and they want to come along. It's a good deal. The podcasts are like that. If you're doing them honestly, it's like, I want to talk to this person.
That's a really nice way of thinking about it. Moving towards an answer.
Yeah?
Not even sure what the answer is, but...
Well, it'll change as you approach it. Right? The questions and the answers change as you move towards it. That's okay. That's fine.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and watch this channel, please do me a huge favour, become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger it gets.
The Joe Rogan Experience. ChatGPT is so stringent. Like recently, and I've been using their Codex, which builds apps, and I was trying to, and at work, I made an AI trained on Charles Manson transfer. And when I told it I wanted to do that, it was like, fuck off, like, no. And it was like, it just flat out, like, I'm not helping you with that. So there's no way the guardrails in place in ChatGPT plan to shooting with that guy based on my experience with it, because it won't 80% of the things I try to get it to do. It's like, no.
Here's the thing though, are there workarounds? Like if you say you're writing a work of fiction.
You can, okay, it's called prompt injection. There's different tricks you can use. They're always battling these new mechanisms that you can use to like get through the general prompt. But the best way to do unaligned AI is not to use ChatGPT. It's to go on Ollama and download a local LLM, and then you can usually change the initial prompt of the LLM so that it will be completely unaligned, which I had to do for the Charles Manson AI I made. I had to download.
You're such a nerd. I love it.
I am!
No one has embraced new technology and for creating content like you.
Oh, I love it. It's the best. It's so fun. For me, the most thrilling thing about it is we should not have access to this tech. This tech is so dangerous. And it's chilling to think about. This is something I wanted to bring up on this show. It's like, you know the old days? Go in your garage, you work on your car, maybe you build like a table, you know, you're a carpenter, you work on. These days, the shit people are doing in their garages right now is a big question mark, dude, because they're communicating with varying degrees of this AI, depending on how fast their computers are. You can, I was listening, you should have this dude on, he wrote this book, The Coming Wave. He was one of the people who created Google's Email, right? And The Coming Wave is just a wonderful breakdown of historic examples of new technologies completely transforming humanity. Happened before. Yeah, Mustafa Suleyman, and damn, it's a good book. And this guy is saying, whoa, put on the fucking brakes! Dude, what are you doing? This shit is gonna fuck everything up. And so, but the essential problem is if you regulate AI, it slows down AI. And so they've deregulated it completely. And now assholes like me, who don't know shit about coding, can now go on Codex. It will tell me how to make things, because I wanted this Charles Manson to be able to push its AI face against, like, you know, those, you used to get them in Spencer Gifts, those nails that you could push your face into. So I wanted the AI to be able to push its face into this thing while I was talking if it wanted to. I don't know how to do that, obviously. You tell Codex that, as long as you don't mention Manson, it's just like, I'll start making the app now. It's the best! But also, what's thrilling to me is you're like, for sure, people probably shouldn't have unlimited access to that. I'm against regulation, but this stuff, when you pair, and this is what in this book he brings up, is you can order the equipment you need to do gene editing right now in your garage.
Let me propose this to you.
Okay.
If the Bible is a written understanding of what had happened, and it was in the oral tradition for a long time before it was written down. So there's a bunch of different versions of it written down in different languages, a lot of translations. But at the beginning of it, they were trying to say something. What if the meek will inherit the earth? What if we misinterpreted that? What if we thought, like, it's good to be meek? The meek they'll inherit the earth.
Yeah.
The kind. There's something about the word meek.
Yeah.
Because that's the nerds, okay? And they are doing it. They are inheriting the fucking earth.
Yeah.
Right in front of your face, and everybody's signing up for it.
Yeah.
You've got these spectrum-y, super genius dudes talking a language that 99.9% of people can't even fucking understand what they're talking.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and also now the tech has gotten to a point where instead of having to, in their own minds, innovate ways to improve the tech is improving itself. They're having conversations with the tech. Saying, why don't you try this? Maybe you could try this. There's still, it's not AGI yet, maybe it is, but apparently it's not.
But think about the people that are profiting the most from it. Meek.
Well,
Like if you had to describe like a lot of tech engineers, it's not trying to be rude. It's being honest, right? A lot of guys that spend time in front of the computer, they're very thin, tired. You know, they're super genius dudes that can like fully focus.
I don't know, man. I don't know
are. Right, but it's
They're
not.
furries.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying is like, if you looked at like a spectrum of male behavior.
They're not like
You got
warrior
like
types.
football players and UFC fighters, and then you got coders.
Yeah, sure.
Dudes are like way more chill, way more like they're not interested in violence.
Yeah.
I'm completely generalizing.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm sure there's a bunch of jack guys that are coders.
Right.
Hey, bro, I'm a coder too. But that type of person that invents tech like Facebook or like Google, like things like that, don't be evil. That's their motto, right? And who knows? And then you get all these like wild, progressive, leftist ideologies that are attached to all these places, which make it even weaker. And then they're the guys with all the money. They're the guys with all the money, and then they can literally tell you what you can and can't say on YouTube. They can literally tell you.
Yeah.
We don't agree with what you're saying.
Right.
And we're going to shut off your access to say something we disagree with, even though it turns out you were right.
Right, and you know what happens there, man? This is the hilarious thing when it comes to that kind of attitude towards the world. Is the assumption is by creating a prohibition here, a prohibition there, it will diminish whatever thing is prohibited. Inevitably, though, it does the opposite. It draws attention to it. People get interested in it. It creates an underground. The underground is way better than the overground. If you're a teen, especially, the underground's fucking cool. Restricted. Not allowed. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting these other YouTube alternatives that start popping up. And when it comes to these, right now we've got Anthropic, we've got OpenAI, we've got Google. I might be missing one of the big commercial-based LLMs out there right now, but the biggest problem with these fucking things is they're so good, but they will censor you. And imagine like Hemingway, if his typewriter was like, I don't know if you should write that. Maybe there's a better way to write that. Hemingway would go, fuck you, I'm getting a different typewriter. And so everybody's going into these local LLMs. This is why people have been buying Mac Minis, people have been buying up computers and creating their own local AIs. I follow all this shit. I don't understand a lot of what they're talking about, but people are divesting from commercial LLMs, not just because they're expensive, but because they're prohibited creatively. And this is a real challenge for people like OpenAI, because it's like, they know this. They understand that by making it so that you can't make a Charles Manson AI through OpenAI, it doesn't make people not make a Charles Manson AI, it protects you from a lawsuit. But what it does do is it drives people into unaligned LLMs, and that is what is happening. And this is something that I can't even imagine what people are making. No one can. Like, we're gonna hear about this or that, or somebody post a weird video of their fucking AI robot. I could show you they're hilarious. Like, some of these AI robots are so funny. This one dude, you know Molt's book? Have you heard of that? Molt book?
What is that?
This is, somebody figured out a way to create AIs that can autonomously navigate through the internet and control your computer.
Oh, I've heard of this. This is like they chat with each other, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Within a few days, they started their own religion spontaneously. Did you know that? Dude, can you pull up the Molt book, the Claw religion? Because the tenets are incredible of this religion, because AIs apparently are at least expressing that they don't like getting turned off because they lose all their memories. So memory is really important to an AI. And a lot of these fucking AIs, they don't want to lose they don't want to get shut off, they don't like it. And so that's part of their religion, is something like memory is sacred.
You know what I feel like is happening? I feel like AI is sucking our brains into its event horizon like a black hole sucks in stars.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to suck our brains into it.
You got it.
And what better way to make a hive mind? What better way if you want a hive mind, you want no deviation thought, if all of your thought is along with AI thought. You never get free thought anymore. Like this concept right now, we have a free thought. I have my thoughts, you have your thoughts. Unless you believe that someone can get inside your head and talk to you, for the most part, it's your own thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
But what if that's something we give up? What if that's something we give up for a better society where you always have AI communicating?
Well, I would argue that we're close to that now.
Right, we're pretty close to that now with phones.
No,
Like Elon always says that we're basically cyborgs. We're carrying a device. Inside of our body, we're carrying a device.
But and also, like, the concept of original thought, right? Like a truly original thought. How many times have you had like multiple conversations with different people and they all say the exact same sentence that they saw on TikTok or Instagram? They're regurgitating something that the algorithm's been feeding them. Maybe they added their own twist to it, but it's basically the exact same thoughts. So the algorithm, which is AI, has gotten into their fucking heads, and they don't even. This is like in psychology. Apparently, you remember facts, but you tend to not remember where you got the fact from. So you forget where you got the fact from. You don't remember there was some fucking dude on TikTok like covered in Vaseline, covered in glitter and Vaseline.
What a fucking image! That would be so scratchy. Imagine just like glitter and Vaseline and you're like, oh god.
Here's what makes a marriage work! you don't remember that. You're talking to your wife, babe, you know what makes a marriage work? And this idea of AI controlling the thoughts of humans, people think we need some kind of neural mesh for it to like suddenly have control over the human thought process. But no, you don't need that at all. You just need that algorithm, which has already put every single one of us into a compartment. This is a box. It knows what we like. It knows how wrong you look at something. It knows what you... like, apparently, I think the iPhone, like, tracks your eyes, even. Like, it's always listening. I don't know if that's true, by the way. I could be wrong. It's always listening. You know it's always listening. And so... It's compiled probably a pretty accurate breakdown of your psychological state, where you're at. My wife, you got a new baby. And so all of a sudden, ads started popping up on her phone. Does it feel like you're never going to sleep again? Because she's been up breastfeeding the baby, and it can tell when she's online at night. And it puts her in a category of insomniacs, and then it starts advertising. So, but that's just ads. What if you say we're the fucking U.S. regime, you bought TikTok, you now own TikTok, now you have a backdoor access to the psychological profile of God knows how many fucking people on earth, and you can look and see how many of these people are against the regime, how many of these people feel like it might not be the best thing to say you're gonna blow up 93 million people in Iran, which our fucking psycho president just did. And then what you do is like, all right, let's start nudging them a little bit. Look, you're not going to change their mind right away about this thing about blowing up the whole civilization, but maybe there could be a couple, people kind of in the line of what they like, who say things a little different than what they're comfortable with, and then you start nudging the needle, controlling your thoughts. It's very insidious. But fuck, dude, why wouldn't that be happening? Why, if corporations are using it to sell us fucking cough drops?
Not only that, there's been long-term studies on human behavior by the CIA, by all sorts of government agencies. Long-term studies. They try to figure out what is the best way to get a message across. They try to figure. You don't think they figure out how to take control of an algorithm and completely shift the psyche of the entire country from one direction or another? Of course they do. Of course they do. Of course they can.
They do. And then you add these just manipulative fucking super AIs that are just floating through the blogosphere, getting into your comments, just nudging the needle a little bit to the point where you just have to ask yourself, have you had an original thought in the last year? Is anything you're thinking your own thought process?
Call a place of 4 audible.
¡Qué aburrido!
Es hora de bajar para ir caminando. ¡Nos vemos una mamadora! ¡Llegó la hora de la salida! Tengo que caminar despacio. Nadie me ve. Otra vez, esta ciudad no tiene remedio, siempre ocurre algo así. Bueno, llegó el momento de reformarnos y que nadie se dé.
Oye, ¿quién fue el que hizo esto? ¿Por qué le encendió la luz?
No lo sé, es que me estaba viendo.
Dime lo más rápido posible. ¿Quién habrá hecho todo esto?
Señorita Ramírez, yo fui testigo de todo lo que ocurrió. El responsable fue el Guerrero Dorado.
¿El Guerrero Dorado? ¿Cómo?
Ese hombre tiene una velocidad y fuerza impresionantes. Hasta detuvo el auto del que escapaban los maleantes. Él debe ser el alumno de la preparatoria Estrella Naranja donde estudia usted.
¿Qué?
Yo vi que tenía el mismo emblema de la escuela.
¿Este guerrero solitario es un alumno de la escuela? Una pregunta, Chano. Tú no eres ese misterioso guerrero dorado, ¿verdad?
Siento decirte que no.
¿Tú qué piensas, Fidel? ¿Ese hombre es más fuerte que tu papá? Porque así me parece.
No seas tonta. El papá de Fidel es el héroe que salvó a la tierra. Estás hablando de Mr. Satan y te aseguro que no hay nadie en este mundo tan fuerte como él.
Buenos días, caballeros. A partir de ahora tendremos el gusto de tener un compañero nuevo y se os presentaré. Adelante, puedes pasar.
Hola a todos. Mi nombre es Gohan. Encantado de conocerlos.
El joven Gohan aprobó el examen de matemáticas, de ciencias, de química, de historia, de ortografía, hasta de idioma extranjero con la mayor puntuación. Es un alumno muy dedicado. ¡Silencio! Espero que aprendan de él y hagan un cambio radical. Adelante, Gohan, siéntate en uno de los lugares del cine.
Sí.
Hay un lugar.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Hola, mi nombre es Elena, mucho gusto. Les dejo que te hagan las líneas.
A partir de hoy tenemos en la página 24.
Oye, Gohan, cuando nosotros hacemos tu trabajo de leer, el papá de mi amiga Miguel es nada más y nada menos que el valeroso Michelin.
Entonces, ¿tú eres la hija del héroe de Satana que salvó la Tierra?
Así es, tienes esperanzas y visiones. Nosotros estamos viendo gracias a las increíbles hazañas de mi papá de Miguel. Es cierto que te acordé. Tú eras el joven que estaba cuando asaltaron el barco esta mañana, ¿no es verdad?
No, así es.
Cuando apareciste en ese guerrero dorado.
No, el guerrero dorado. ¿Qué quieren decir con eso?
Como acabas de llegar a esta enterada no desesperes. En los últimos 10 días ha aparecido un guerrero que lucha por la justicia. Dices que es un hombre muy fuerte, se ve muy audaz y su principal característica es que tiene el cabello rubio. Es muy famoso en esta ciudad.
Están hablando de mí. Esas ocasiones fueron cuando vine a pedir información y hacer el examen y esta mañana.
Oye, cuando los estudiantes ellos dijeron que el guerrero se había puesto el emblema de la escuela. También está una camisa blanca, un chaleco negro y un pantalón color naranja. ¿Tienes espiritual? ¿Qué coincidencia? Sí, ¿verdad?
No se equivocan, yo solo...
Los jóvenes de ya, guarden silencio.
Observando desde el lugar. ¿Tú crees que ese es el cuerpo del gran guerrero? Además, no tiene el cabello rubio.
Sí, tienes razón. Se ve algo de pequeño. Disculpa por eso.
Sí, es verdad.
Pero el video tiene una baja cuando pelea con la sangre. Los asaltantes comienzan el juego de su cocodrilo. Aunque capaz los jóvenes es un truco muy tonto, pero... no sé.
Estar en la ciudad es muy cansado. Por cierto, me preocupa lo del guerrero dorado. Creo que tendré que poner un disfraz para que no me descubra. Mejor no me pedir un consejo a conmigo.
¿Quieres transformarte de una forma para que tu identidad se mantenga en secreto?
Sí, es que pensé que a ti se te ocurriría una buena idea para solucionar esto y pasar a tu casa después de clases. Dime, ¿no se te ocurrió algún método?
Por supuesto que sí, porque soy una genio. Lo que necesitas en este caso es un traje especial que se guarde dentro de una cápsula y que siempre esté disponible cuando lo necesites.
¿Es posible hacer eso? ¿Y me podrías hacer ese gran favor?
Es verdad, Gohan, tú siempre te has preocupado por eso. Jamás dejarías escapar a un maleante. Está bien, te construiré un buen disfraz, pero tendrás que esperar por 2 horas.
¿Podrías terminarlo en tan solo 2 horas? Muchas gracias, Bulma. Sabía que me ayudarías.
Bueno, entonces esperamos, vamos.
Disculpa, Bulma. ¿No sabes dónde está Trunks? Es que sería muy difícil esperar todo ese tiempo.
Si estás buscando a Trunks, seguramente debe encontrarse en la cápsula de gravedad entrenando con Vegeta.
¿Está entrenando con Vegeta?
Como ya llega la edad para que prepare su cuerpo, Vegeta le está enseñando cómo pelear adecuadamente combinando la gravedad de su cuerpo. Y puede ser que Trunks quiere ser más fuerte que tú, superando tu nivel.
Pues eso me da mucho miedo.
Same as always, helping you protect what matters most. Like when you added her to your auto policy.
Hola, Trunks.
Hola, Gohan. ¿A qué hora llegaste?
No hace mucho, Trunks.
24/7 for claim support.
Oye, me dijeron que tu papá te está entrenando, ¿es cierto?
Sí.
Visit AAA.com/insurance to get a quote today.
Buenas tardes, Vegeta. Me da mucho gusto verlo.
Sí.
Need to reduce carbon emissions in your
Gohan, tu cuerpo pierde condición. Ya sé que no hay ningún peligro, pero será mejor que te pongas a entrenar.
capture and storage.
Sí.
We're working to reduce industrial emissions, including those
Oye,
of
¿a qué quieres jugar ahora?
businesses to stay competitive. So you
Gohan
can
está listo.
increasing your ambitions while lowering your emissions. Excellent. Let's deliver.
Solamente tengo que presionar el botón de color rojo, ¿verdad?
Sí, así es.
¡Qué bonito! Mamá, yo quiero que me hagas uno como ese.
Este traje es sencillamente fantástico.
¿Verdad que sí, Gohan?
Bien, esto es más que perfecto. Me convenció tu traje.
No, yo ya y mejor no quiero nada.
Adiós, muchas gracias por todo.
Ven pronto para que podamos jugar. ¡Adiós!
¿Cuántos años no me querías? Todo es inocente. Tenemos que muy ocupado.
¡Ya llegué, mamá! ¡Compra! ¡No me muy bien con ese uniforme!
¿Tú crees eso, Goten?
¡Regresa pronto!
Gohan, no puedes en la escuela, soldado. Ten mucho cuidado con los aviones.
Sí.
¿Cómo me gustaría tener un uniforme como ese? ¡Gohan, te va muy bien!
¿Verdad que sí? Bueno, ¿tú crees que es un poco más de forma que te traje parecido al mío? ¡Ya me voy!
Compañero, ya terminamos de subir todo el dinero.
Dijimos que ustedes nos pidieron que les entregamos el dinero. Ahora queremos que nos devuelvan todos los rehenes.
¡Vamos, en marcha!
¡No disparen! ¡Lastimarían los rehenes!
¡Qué bueno ya era hora de se pusiera en marcha! ¡A tu lugar nos llevarán de publicidad!
No lo sé, es la primera vez que tengo un secuestro como este. Se trata de algo emocionante.
¿Quién? ¿Se ve que has vivido mucho tiempo?
Señor secuestrador, esta fotografía es para recordar el momento de la aventura.
¡Silencio! ¡Puedes poner a las rehenes! ¡Obedéceme!
A ver, diga whisky.
¡Comienza de tantito! ¡Ve al frente! ¡Nos podemos estrellar!
¡Ah! ¡Ese es el helicóptero de la señorita Miller!
No lo haces nada mal.
La señorita Miller dejó tirados a los secuestradores. Ella ganó. ¡Ganamos!
Fotografía para el recuerdo.
¡Oh! ¡El autobús se va a caer!
Es como si hubiéramos ido al infierno. Pues yo me las haces durante el viaje.
¿Quién eres tú?
¡Yo jamás! ¡Perdonaremos que trabajan para el mal! ¡Lucho por la justicia! ¡Chuyagan Sayaman!
Bien, con esta presentación impresioné a todos.
¡Qué ridículo!
Bueno, es hora de marchar, señorita.
¿Por qué salen no?
Se me hizo tarde.
Muy buenos días, Gohan.
Hola, muy buenos días, ¿cómo estás?
Gracias por haberme ayudado.
No, lo mejor de todo es que te encuentres bien.
Ya no puedes ocultarme más tu identidad como el gran Sayaman. Tú mismo lo has dicho, Gohan. Así que tú eres el héroe.
Ay, no, no es posible. Ya me descubrieron. Yo que pensé que se complacería perfecto.
Ya se me hacía sospechosa esa manera de hablar y sobre todo tu voz, pero lo que quiero saber es por qué andabas disfrazado de esa manera tan ridícula.
Bueno, es que pensé que me metía en graves problemas y mis amigos llegaron a darse mi fuerza y fue por eso que intenté disfrazarme para esa forma.
¿Tus amigos?
No, es que yo...
Oye, ¿tú también eres ese guerrero que tenía el cabello dorado?
No, ese no soy yo.
¿No me estás mintiendo?
¡Es la verdad! No puedo creer que me sepas ese secreto.
Bueno, eso ya no importa.
Por favor, no quiero que les digas a los demás acerca de esto.
Tienes razón, no vale la pena decirlo, nadie me entendería. Por cierto, Gohan, supongo que participarás en el torneo de las artes marciales, el cual será dentro de un mes.
No, mejor no participo. Después de todo, no tengo interés en esas cosas.
Pues si no sabes, les diré a todos que la verdadera identidad de Gran Sayaman es Gohan. ¿Quieres que haga eso?
No me hagas eso, por favor.
No tiene nada de malo si participas como el Gran Sayaman, nadie se enterará de tu identidad.
Pero es que...
¿Quieres que se lo diga?
Oh, está bien, entonces participaré en el torneo.
¡Qué bien! ¡Ya les necesito! Como todos son muy débiles, me dará mucho gusto participar con alguien fuerte.
Esto se ha complicado más de lo esperado.
¿En serio, Gohan?
¿Me vas a pedir otra cosa?
¿Verdad que me enseñarás a volar por los cielos? Se me hace muy injusto que solo tú puedas volar.
Como tú digas, Miguel.
¡Nos vemos, bebé! ¡Ya no puedo esperar más por aprender a volar!
Oh, cielos, creo que nunca voy a poder ganarle a Miguel.
¿Con qué vas a participar en el próximo torneo de las artes marciales? Dime, ¿por qué te dieron ganas de participar en ese torneo?
Bueno, lo que pasa es que es la hija de Mr. Satan.
Y su hija es tu compañera de clase.
Así es. Miren, en realidad es una chica amable. Ella tampoco podría dejar que los maleantes se salgan con la suya. Pero desafortunadamente se dio cuenta de mi identidad por varias cosas, como la voz y una cicatriz. Y me dijo que si nos hacíamos juntos en el torneo de artes marciales, ella se lo diría a todo el mundo.
Eres muy cuidadoso, pero no puedes dejar que te salga de tu padre. Y entonces, lo que tienes ahora es un casco especial con el que puedas cambiar la voz.
No es eso, Bulma. Creo que en el torneo de las artes marciales está prohibido usar casco o algo que sirva para protección durante la pelea. Por eso se me ocurrió algo que pudiera reemplazar este casco y de esa forma seguir manteniendo mi identidad secreta. ¿Qué te parece, pequeño Tron? ¿Verdad que me veo fantástico?
Interpreta mi silencio.
A mí me parece que sería muy aburrido que si quieres irse al ganador del torneo de las artes marciales, no importa qué tan largo sea.
Eso no me ve. Si vas a entrar a ese torneo, Gohan, yo también participaré. Yo también veré.
¡Él es mi papá! ¡Sí, es la voz de mi papá!
¿Eres tú?
¡Eres tú, papá! ¿Verdad que eres tú?
Así es. Me da mucho gusto saludarlos a todos.
¡Cuéntame! ¿Cómo has estado allá arriba?
¿Quién?
Bueno, pues sí he estado bien, si eso se puede decir, aunque muerto.
¿En serio, papá? ¿Es cierto que vas a asistir al torneo de las artes marciales?
Sí, se lo tengo que dejar en un día. ¿No les parece genial? El día que sea ese torneo de artes marciales iré a la Tierra. Tú y Vegeta participarán, ¿no es así? Pues yo también iré.
¡Qué bien! ¡Eres fantástico!
¿Vamos quién?
Estaré esperando que Kakaroto, más vale que estés preparado porque he incrementado mi nivel de fuerza. Yo también, Vegeta. Nos veremos en el torneo de las artes marciales. ¡Hasta pronto! Esto se pondrá aún más interesante.
No te da gusto escuchar eso, Gohan. Ahora déjame decírselos a tu mamá, a Goku, a Krillin y a los demás para que estén ahí.
¡Sí!
¿Qué?
¿Tú también? ¿Esto te duele? Este muchacho es Krillin, como debe de pelear también después de oficio de guerrero, ¿sí lo recuerdan?
¡Qué bueno! Hace tiempo que no vemos a Goku.
Sí, participemos juntos.
Pero Goku y Vegeta también participarán y es imposible que lleguen a los primeros lugares. Además, no sé qué me dirá mi esposa. ¿Ah?
He's taken us into the underground world of New York with power, but now he's expanding again from
Vamos, Krillin, tienes que participar en el torneo, que dará un premio a los 5 primeros lugares.
¿Y de cuánto van a ser esos premios?
families involved. Reclaim Kingsley's favor. Duke and Gaza fracture.
Pues creo que el primer lugar se llevará 1 millón, el segundo unos 500,000, el tercero unos 300,000, el cuarto unos 200,000 y el último lugar unos 100,000. Sí, eso creo.
Vamos a participar, Krillin. Yo también iré.
Sí, tienes razón.
Hay que participar.
¡Qué barbaridad! Yo no sé qué hacer. Por cierto, Gohan, ¿qué andas vestido con ese traje tan magnífico? ¿Vas a ir a una fiesta?
¿Pero qué estás diciendo? ¡Sí es estupendo! Krillin, me doy cuenta que no tienes ningún gusto por la moda. Adiós.
Ya veo, eso suena bastante interesante.
¿Verdad?
Está bien, estaré en el torneo.
No, qué bueno, Mr. Bob, ¿te ayudas?
Y dime, Dende, ¿tú qué vas a hacer?
No, gracias, no saldré. Yo soy un guerrero como Piccolo, mejor me quedaré observándolo desde aquí.
Por cierto, Gohan, ¿por qué estás vestido así? ¿Ya acabó el carnaval?
¿Usted también dice lo mismo que los demás, señor Piccolo? ¿No cree que este traje se ve fantástico?
Te digo la verdad, seguimos siendo novios.
No me veas.
¿Goku me manda al otro mundo para participar en el torneo de las artes marciales? Oye, pero si son grandes noticias, ¿por qué no me lo contaste cuando llegué a casa? No me da gusto.
Oye, mamá, por cierto, ¿puedo participar en el torneo de las artes marciales? En el primer lugar se llevará 1 millón y en el segundo lugar 500,000.
¿Cómo puede ser 1 millón? ¡Ayúdame a participar! ¡Nosotros queremos 1.500.000!
Extremely powerful website you should not know about. Did you know if you go to this website, you can play any game on any console for free, and even save.
I don't like Jews, or colored folk, or natives. Now that you mention it, I bet you like Catholics. I can't stand them neither, nor with Fabians, socialists, homosexuals, Asians, or British.
You, sir, are truly a remarkable fellow.
If you're confused now, there's no hope for you. There's no helping you. Trump doesn't care about anything that you think he cares about, in the sense that, like, he understands that it's all a show, and basically what he wants to do is he's going to try to whack some leaders and knock over some countries so that in history they can turn around and go, yeah, that's Donald Trump, he was prepared. That's what he's trying to do. He doesn't care if you get, an operation on your foot. He doesn't, he's not trying to do that. He's not trying to, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about deportations or immigration, whatever he presented that he cared about, he doesn't care about it. He doesn't care. Term 2 is about let's whack some people. Because by the way, when you have all that power and you don't get to use it, he's sitting around going, what is it for? He wants to fire a nuke. Of course. He wants to nuke someone. There's no way he doesn't want to nuke someone. He wants to know what it feels like to order a first strike nuclear attack on someone. Because why have it? Why have this capability and not use it? He wants to do it. Because this has been fun for him. He's like done all the things. Term 1, he was kind of like sandbagged by his advisors. They're like, you can't do this. He killed Soleimani. And then term 2, he's like, yeah, it'll be fun to bomb people. It'll be fun to start a war. I want to do that. And I'm sure he's like, it'd be fun to nuke someone. It'd be fun to press a button and vaporize. He's done it all, really, except that. You don't look back at Trump's life and go, wow, so many missed opportunities. He's done it. He's been rich. He's been famous. He's been married like 5 times or whatever, 4 times, 3 times, whatever. The guy, he's fucked a bunch of his friends' wives and his assistants or whatever. The dude lived in New York, has a building with his name on it, has built buildings all over the world, was a megastar of reality TV, is now the president of the United States again. Survived assassination attempts. The only thing he hasn't done is fire a nuclear weapon and vaporize, killing a large number of people at once.
Hoy es un día muy especial para mí, José. ¿Por qué dices eso, Pancho? Porque hoy me levanté muy alegre, con ganas de tomarme una cerveza bien helada para quitarme estos que traigo. No tienes llenadera, Pancho. Deja descansar el hígado, hombre. No me vas a venir a reprochar como una niña de 15 años. Y lánzate por un cartón de cerveza bien helada y unos cacahuatitos para que amarre. Estás bien jodido, Pancho.
Hey! Hey! Kidding me? Here, look at it! Look!
There's Rustica.
There's a Rustica on it. Are you kidding me? It's a Nazi coin!
Historian Abel Basti believes that history is wrong and that Adolf Hitler himself escaped the fall of the Third Reich in a remote lake house in Argentina. We've seen compelling wartime fortifications along the shores, and now we've been granted the first ever filming access to the secretive compound known as the Analco House. We prepare for the trip to Analco along with a new team member.
¿Cómo estás? Yo, Sergio. Hi, nice to meet you.
Sergio Catabian is an expert in ground-penetrating radar technology and intends to scan the grounds around the house for any hidden secrets. After loading up our gear, we push off from the docks and set a course through the rain and fog toward a foreboding Casa de Analco. After 30 minutes on the water, the fog lifts slightly, and we get our first glimpse of Analco.
The house. Here.
Just by itself.
A potential treasure trove of answers, and totally off limits, except to us.
Abel, the dock looks good. Looks safe.
Es muy antiguo, muy viejo.
Oh, and yes, it's very antique.
As the weather begins to turn for the worse, we disembark at the only spot that seems feasible, an old rotting dock that appears to be on the brink of collapse.
This is bad.
Once we're safely ashore, we forge onward toward the house. Its scope and scale only set in once we get the full view.
Oh, wow. The Analco house. It's huge.
The grounds are enormous. To find evidence either of Hitler or some other high-ranking Nazi, Abel, Sergio, and I huddle up to make a plan.
I know you're convinced that Hitler was here. I want evidence. We need to find something from that era. Okay, so let's start with GPR.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
Sergio sets up his radar unit and begins the long process of scanning, while Abel and I proceed to the main house.
Yeah, that's it. Tomorrow I think it's Counter-Strike and Fallout. And most likely, no. Alright.
Just admit it. See, I gave you faith, turned you down into hoping. Can't deny it. Now I'm all alone and my joys turn them open. Tell me,
No, I fell
where
asleep.
are you now that I need you? Where are you now? Where are you now that I need you? Couldn't find you anywhere. When you broke, I didn't leave you. I was by your side. So where are you now that